have the pleasure of introducing Christel Gaillard, and we're welcoming her back for actually the third time for presenting wine for our Wine Down Wednesday. Christel was actually born and raised in Cognac, France, where a love of food and wine was instilled in her. In addition to an international business degree, she's earned her master's in spirits and brandy before going on to work for several prominent spirit and wine importers in Europe. She then went back to school to earn her wine MBA from Bordeaux Business School, and after graduation moved to Michigan to take over the territory manager position for a European importer. Always wanting to expand her education, Christel has recently begun pursuing her Master's of Wine certification. It's a prestigious designation that few have achieved. And I know we'll learn a lot from Christel today, as we always do. So, Christel, take it away. We're looking forward to hearing about our featured wine.
Excellent. Thank you, Megan, and thank you, everyone, and good evening. It's a good participation tonight. So I think it's, we are now in the fall, and I'm really happy to introduce a wine from Spain. I traveled extensively in Spain since obviously living in France. It was pretty easy as I grew up, with my parents who were vacationing all around. So here tonight we are going to be in the southern part of Spain in a region called Jumilla. So here you see on the map where it's located, a little bit around 50 kilometers inland from the Mediterranean. So as you can imagine, we are in the south of Spain. It's a very warm region. We have the feature, or one of the grape part of the wine that we are having tonight is Monastrell, also known as Mourvèdre. And we are presenting a winery that has 86 acres of vineyard. And again, so this is really the main variety in that region of Jumilla is Mourvèdre. It's really a great variety, very keen, and a variety that also like the warm weather. So usually it grows in bushes, like small bushes. It's not the traditional trellis system. This is very typical from that region. It's a grape varietal that has a thick skin. It's late ripening in terms of the season. And it's also very low yield. And, it doesn't produce a huge quantity, but it's a kind of a more smaller yielding grape variety. Famous not only in that part of Spain, but also you find it in the south of France. Mourvèdre, so all in the Mediterranean region, in the Rhône Valley also, when you think about, for those of you who are familiar with the Rhône, with Châteauneuf-du-Pape, for example. But it's also a grape, for those of you, Australia has made it also famous in the GSM, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre. And also that's known, some people said, oh, I really like the GSM, what it means is those three grape varietal, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre, that are definitely also growing in Spain. Grenache known as Garnacha. Syrah, you have a little bit of Syrah in La Mancha, if you look at the map, in the more southern part of Spain, and obviously in France, all the Mediterranean and the Rhône region. Maybe we move to the next slide. So here we are. So I found that also interesting in the name of the bodega, Ego Bodega. To name it. Also Ego, like obviously Ego, and here is that charming couple behind that Ego Bodega, which as a matter of fact is fairly new. They started from scratch in 2011, but it's really only in 2013 that they really started launching their wines. So we have here Santos Ortiz of Spanish origin and Loana Paunescu from Romania. And they were both in the wine industry, but they have different strengths, in terms of marketing and finance and business. And interestingly enough, they decided, it says here, we launch a project doing the opposite to what the books tell you or what you see in the industry. What they did is that for 6 months, they really traveled through Spain and they were looking at a nice area to grow grapes and to build a winery. But really in mind, what they had is to build a winery that was going to be profitable. So that was really the main, image and profit were really the two main important characteristic for them to venture into building a winery and making wine, creating wine. So each bottle of wine from Ego Bodegas carries the principles on which the winery was founded upon: ego, or I, talento, and infinito. And as a matter of fact, they have a wine called talento and another one called infinito. So ego, obviously, as we know, the concept of I, talento, the ability to perform and carry out a task, and infinito, the power to dream without, oops, that thing is here, without, I don't read, no, because I have the, oops, I have the band here. So anyway, so you see the background, by the way, of this this couple. You see exactly these this monastrell vine that we call bush vines that are particular for Mediterranean grapes. So that would be the same also for Zinfandel, for example, in California. You have some old vine Zinfandel that are very, you know, growing this way as an independent, almost like an independent plant, you know. And they can age really long and they get all gnarly at one point, and it's really pretty. The only difficulty is, as you can imagine, is hand harvested only, you know, no machine can do the work. And it's a little, let's say, exhausting, at least for the back, because you have to bend or to knee to harvest the grapes. So it's a little bit more time consuming and eventually can be exhausting too. But I like that landscape of wineries that have, of vineyards with that. So here is our wine tonight, and I hope some of you had the chance to taste it already. Fuerza. Fuerza means strength in Spanish. And we have this beautiful horse on the label. I thought, and all their packaging, as a matter of fact, it's a pretty modern winery. So again, marketing was one main aspect for them. And all their packaging is all kind of, yeah, modern, minimalistic, and very fun and eye-catching. So here we have 75% Monastrell or Mourvèdre. Monastrell is the Spanish version. 25% Cabernet Sauvignon. So I thought, and even for the Cabernet Sauvignon lover, this would be a great blend, a nice wine for the fall. A little bit of oak. It sees some French and American oak. And this is a wine definitely that has some richness, beautiful fruit on the nose. So as you can see, for those of you who have a glass of it in front of you, it has really nice garnet color. I like the fact that it's rich, lots of dark fruit, but it's not overly powerful. You know, it's a wine that you can enjoy by itself. Obviously, it's a wine that I would have definitely with lamb, with braised meat like short ribs, for example. You know, everything, or smoked meat, also grilled meat. And this is, yeah, a wine that I think is versatile enough. Again, the Cabernet gives a little bit of structure, but the Monastrell as a grape varietal is a grape that offers a lot of dark fruit. So you can find some inexpensive Monastrell or Mourvèdre, but you can find also some a little bit more complex Mourvèdre. Again, most of the time, Mourvèdre is going to be blended with another grape. It's possible to find 100%, but most of the time it really adds a lot of richness to grape varietal, like as I mentioned earlier, Grenache and Syrah. They are like a really good marriage together. You know, the Grenache adds also some fruit, the Syrah adds some spice, and the Monastrell even more kind of a darker red fruit and intense fruit, but also some very smooth taste profile. Is anyone also tasting the wine tonight.
Well, yeah, that's why we're here.
Good. Okay. Well, I'm not sure if some people mention, between the different, although they mentioned their favorite drink, but I'm not sure if, everybody enjoys eventually a red wine, either for dinner or as a starter. And I think, this time of year, it's kind of fun to have a glass of wine with dinner.
It's very good. Thank you.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Yeah.
It is, huh? Yeah. I feel it is so
Smooth.
smooth, exactly. I like the fact that even, when you see oak, sometimes the oak can be overused. I don't want to say, in some wine it's very powerful. So I like the fact that the primary aromatic here is a lot of almost like a bramble fruit and rich blackberries. But the wood, I would say, is really in the background. So that gives a really gentle, gentle aspect to the wine. Yeah. With even a little bit of spice.
I'm normally a Merlot drinker, and this is like on a whole nother level. This is great. So it's really smooth, which is what I like. So
wonderful. So also I'm glad to hear that normally you like Merlot, which is also lush, can be lush. But here I like the fact that you have also a little bit of acidity on the finish. So it's a wine that, makes you slightly salivate where you want, you are going to have fun pairing it with food. And even that there was one person that mentioned Pinot Noir, and again, I don't want to compare it with Pinot Noir, but I think even for a Pinot Noir lover, depending on the style of Pinot, especially if it's a Pinot Noir from California that tends to have a little bit more fruit, that could also please, a Pinot Noir lover, because I don't think it's overly extracted wine, for Mourvèdre or Cabernet Sauvignon, it's still on a gentle side.
Yeah, I was the Pinot Noir lover, and I have to tell you, we drank that bottle on Saturday night. I shared it with my girlfriend. Like Mike said, I jumped ahead, but we loved it.
Oh, good. So I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, excellent.
On your last slide, on your last slide, you had a score. It said 90. Can you tell us what the range is and
Sure.
what that means?
So Wine Spectator is one of these magazines. As a matter of fact, it's also, you can find it in some good stores. Some of them have it, or you can also see online. So it's a wine magazine that has all kind of articles about wine. And also they rate wines, and their scale is 100.
Okay.
So usually the wines that are below 90, even 88 is kind of good. In the 80s, 85 is okay, I would say. So normally you don't want to have a score lower than maybe 88.
Okay.
But so 90 points is considered a really good score, for especially a wine which is a little bit more value oriented, very easy, I would say consumer friendly. So it's a really nice recognition, and I've seen on their website also, among all their portfolio, that they have regularly accolades from also other, in Spain, also other Spanish, guides or journalists, and even in the US. So pretty smart couple, apparently, who, not too long ago, even less than 10 years ago, started. And from zero, they have a pretty modern facility. And they thought, okay, we are going to create a range of wine to appeal to the consumer, food friendly and fun labels and packaging, and here we are. They make like about 12 to 15 different wines, and heavily with Monastrell and Syrah and Cabernet Sauvignon. And Fuerza, I like the name also, giving you strength. Not that we need it right now, but eventually, during that COVID time, hopefully we see the end of it. But I thought, okay, that's maybe like an inspiring wine in a certain way. So here we are. We have the strength to fight the COVID, and we will be strong. Yeah.
We will. So, Christel, we do have a question from John Barber, who has been patiently waiting with his hand raised. So, John Barber.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Well, first of all, Lori, because of all the Michigan State people on the call, and thank you guys for being on the call, I just want to give props out to our Michigan State fans out there. So I changed my hat. Go white. So, second of all, though, Christel, is it typically take a winery when they start about 4 to 5 years before they can really start producing some good product?
It's true, yes. So normally when you plant a vineyard, and here you're right, when you start planting a vineyard, it takes around, a good 5, 6 years to really get the first grapes and be able to make wine. So what eventually a winery like that, and I don't know if they did it, but I think they did, but what you would do is find some farmers, some growers in the area, either work on a contract for a few years with them, to make wine before your own vineyard can produce wine. Otherwise, what do? So you create your winery and you have all the facility and all that, and then you planted the vineyard, and now you have to wait, 5 years until you can produce wine. So you would generally contract, have a contract with some growers, find some good quality grapes, and make some grapes until you can use your own.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions for Christel? All right. Well, I will tell you we have a very active chat going on. Some great comments about the wine. Some of them being that sometimes red wine makes somebody get a runny nose, but this one did not. So we'll share that as a positive.
Yeah.
A lot of people saying that this wine was just absolutely delicious.
Excellent. Yeah, good to hear. I think, I think it's really enjoyable. And again, I could see that even with chicken in a chicken cacciatore, for example, with the mushroom and then tomato sauce and all that, could be really fun. You don't have to go specifically with a meat dish, for example. But yeah, I'm glad everybody enjoyed the wine, and please feel free to go back to your retailer and get more if you wanted to. And enjoy your dinner tonight with, if you have some left over. And thank you for having me again tonight. I was glad to be able to participate tonight to your Wednesday Wine Down. Thanks again, Loris.
Well, thank you again for sharing your expertise with us, Christel. We were excited to bring you back. You kind of started our series, and this is kind of closing us out for the year at the same time. So you kind of ended it with your great wine experience. So thanks again. If there are any additional comments or questions for Christel, you can put those in the chat, and we will make sure that we try to get those answered.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.